Welcome to this special episode of Beyond Valor, where we explore the story of the Kuwait martyrs who made the ultimate sacrifice for this country's freedom. In the corridors of history, tales of courage, sacrifice are etched. Today we dive into the stories of Kuwaiti martyrs, the heroes who sacrificed their lives as a tribute to this generous nation. We are here to explore the noble spirit of those souls that illuminate Kuwaiti's path with the light of honor and sacrifice. In Kuwait history, we find the inspiring story of Sheikh Fahd Al-Ahmed Jabir al-Sabah, a true hero. Today, we explore the remarkable life of this martyr, a man dedicated to honor, duty, and the greater goods. Sheikh Fahd was a sport icon, leaving an enduring impact on Kuwait's sport scenes. But his influence went beyond the arena. He potentially supported Arab unity, standing alongside his brethren in battle against common enemies. As commitment wasn't just word, in 1967, he stood against the Israeli in the Sinai Peninsula, and during the Iran and Iraq War, he supported Saddam's cause. Sheikh Fahd's courage and humility earned him respect and commendation even in the face of personal danger. Wounded in a battle of Al-Karama against the Israeli enemy, he received praise from leaders like Jamal Abdel Nasser. Sheikh Fahd's dedication to the Palestinian cause led him to join the Fedayeen in 1968 and 1970, where he sustained multiple injuries. Despite honors and achievement, Sheikh Fahd faced betrayal from some he supported. Today, we honor the symbol of Arab nobility, exploring the sacrifice of a man who dreamt of martyrdom for the Arab world. Join us in the first story of Beyond Valor, as we dive deeper into the life of lasting impact of Sheikh Fahd Al-Ahmed. The series pays tribute to those who sacrificed everything from love of their homeland. On the night of August 2nd, Sheikh Fahd Al-Ahmed, engrossed a discussion about the memorial project, found himself trusted into a pivotal moment in Kuwait's history. Little did he know that every nation he had supported in the past was about to face a Saddami invasion. Around 10:30 a.m., Sheikh Fahd, unaware of the imminent threats, left the gathering and headed to the Jabriya. By 5 a.m., a Mir Guard force clashed with invading Saddami forces near Despon's palace, preventing them from breaching its boundaries. However, small enemies group managed to occupy nearby buildings, leading shelling and sniper activities. As a Kuwaiti military reinforcement arrived, the siege was eventually broken, and a member of the ruling family were re-evacuated from the Despon's palace. At 5 a.m., Sheikh Fahd received a call about the Saddami aggression and surprisingly invited the caller to join him on the way to Desmond's palace. Their attempts to contact the palace failed due to a busy phone line. Around 6 a.m., the invading forces intensified their advance toward the palace for the British embassy side. Kuwait forces resisted fiercely. At 7 a.m., Sheikh Fahd, accompanied by two others, was at the main gate at the palace. Then questioned about his presence, he inquired about the situation. As he opened the car door to step out, he was met with the hail of bullets from the roundabout hitting him. The third person in the car attempted to move the vehicle for assistance, but Saddam's military presence and heavy gunfire thwarted their efforts. By 9 a.m., the invading forces persist and their advance on the courageous Kuwaiti forces continued to resist, turning Desmond Palace into a symbol of resilience in the face of adversity. Following Sheikh Fahd's tragic death at Desmond's palace, the Kuwaiti military youth exhibit remarkable courage, carrying his body to a nearby clinic around 9:30 a.m. Despite the efforts, the martyr condition worsened and it took his last breath. Remember that moment, the bleeding head was left uncovered as the martyr body was transported to the Amir Hospital between 10:30 and 11 a.m. Meanwhile, Amir Guard forces voluntarily defended Desmond's palace, showing resilience against enemy forces and the encirclement that lasted until the afternoon. The culmination of Sheikh Fahd's journey saw his body placed in the morgue until August 21st, fueled by hope, Kuwaiti's swift liberation. A planned funeral procession, orchestrated by Sheikh Amthal al-Ahmed al-Jaber, faced potential danger when the Saddami forces warned of impending threats. Colonel Tara, fearing for the body's safety, initially denied its extents, but later advised a clever plan to move it to a large refrigerator in the central kitchen. Despite enemy control, the body remained concealed until early September. Dr. Ahdi and Sheikh Amthal al-Ahmed al-Jaber took urgent steps, deciding to transport the body promptly. On the same day, the martyr body, along with Abdul Latif al-Hamdan, was moved to Al-Rigga Cemetery for the identified brutal. Despite the continuous search by occupying forces, the martyr body remained hidden, marking the end of Sheikh Fahd al-Ahmed's life. A man who committed to an Arab unity, Saddami cause, and the Palestinian issue, did not live to witness the Saddami aggression or the betrayal by someone stood with solidarity with just cause of Kuwait. Faisal Ahmed al-Qattan, the Kuwaiti martyr, was not only a civilian of great bravery and dedication, but also an art teacher, born on December 15, 1962. And holding the Kuwaiti nationality, Faisal was married and had 4 children. Faisal's heroism became evident during the tumultuous events that befell Kuwait during the Gulf War in 1990. Despite his civil status, he made courageous decisions to actively participate in the resistance against the invading forces. His role as an art teacher added a unique dimension to his story, illustrating that courage and sacrifice transcend professional boundaries. The details of his personal and family life, combined with his heroic stories as an art teacher, embody not only courage and dedication, but also unwavering commitment of education. Faisal sacrificed his life for the homeland, leaving the legacy as a symbol of sacrifice and loyalty in the annals of Kuwaiti's history. When the Saddami forces invaded Kuwait, Faisal's calm demeanor transformed into a resolute determination to resist. His drastic change worried his eldest sister, who tried to caution him about the danger. Faisal, however, believed in facing life challenges head-on. His involvement in resisting the invaders depends setting the stage or a journey filled with challenges and sacrifice. Faisal, eager to contribute to the resistance, sought out his friend Fadl for help. Fadl, cautious about the risk, eventually agreed. Faisal, with the help of Fadl's uncle, required weapons, a rifle, a pistol, and 6 rounds. The challenge of hiding the weapons led to tense moment at a Saddami checkpoint, but they managed to pass without incident. This marked a crucial step in Faisal and Fadl's mission. Unaware, more challenges awaited them in the tumultuous landscape of wartime Kuwait. The vehicle came to a complete stop at the mentioned checkpoint, and all 4 passengers left the vehicle. The soldiers proceed to inspect the car, and due to a rear seat not being securely closed, they were able to discover the rifle underneath. Upon this discovery, the soldiers fired rounds into the air from the rifle and then aimed the muzzle toward Faisal, Fadl, and their companions. The moment was full of fear and astonishment for them. Subsequently, they were all loaded into the military bus. The Saddami military bus carried Faisal, Jamal, and their companions, headed to the police station in the Ardiya area. And it was around 6 p.m. upon their arrival at the mentioned police station. The Saddami soldiers subjected to the comrades to serve beatings, kicks, and abuse. The 4 comrades were placed in a single cell, sharing it with a group of Kuwaitis resisting the youth in this situation. Faisal requested his friend Fadl and declared that the weapons was his alone, at that they were all a part of this plan. Faisal's intention was to bear the blame alone to secure the release of the others. The 4 comrades were placed in a single cell, sharing it with a group of Kuwaiti resistance youth. In this situation, Faisal requested his friend Fadl to declare that the weapons was his alone, and that they were all part of this plan. Faisal's intention was to bear the blame alone to secure the release of the others. As an expression of gratitude to his friend, Fadl assisted him in obtaining the weapons. Faisal managed to convince him of the importance of the step of releasing of their comrades. Faisal was taken to an interrogation room where he was accused of belonging to the Kuwaiti resistance. When he denied the charges, they began to torture him with beating and electrical shocks. After the ordeal, he was brought out, his clothes stained with blood from the injuries sustained, unable to stand due to his conditions, and Fadl were placed in a cell in this miserable state. The 4 comrades stayed in a cell for 4 days before being transferred to the Farwaniya Governorate building. The torture continued there, with Faisal being subjected to serve torture, while the other 3 of strong charges against them. Faisal admitted to being the owner of the weapons, leading to his continuous imprisonment and the punishment. Faisal's sister and aunt were informed of his deportation to Basra. After visiting the prison in Basra, Faisal's health worsened from brutality and torture. Faisal was also deeply saddened by being away from his newborn son. Witnesses recount brutal torture, including suspension from a rotating fan. The Saddamis transported Faisal and others to an unknown destination, leaving their fate uncertain. Following the liberation of Kuwait citizen named Adil visited the home of Faisal's wife, Amira. He informed her that her husband Faisal had been martyred. His wife rushed to search for him and found herself at Mubarak al-Kabir's hospital, facing 3 bodies. She thought that one of these bodies might be her husband's Faisal, but the doctor confirmed that the body was belonged to a person called Badr al-Gattan, and explained to her that this belief couldn't verify based on fingerprints, due its match with another person's data. On August 30, 2004, and after 14 years of waiting for some good news, Faisal's family were notified about the finding of his remains in a mass grave west of the city of Karbala in Iraq. His loss and fate had always caused deep sorrow and irreparable loss.
On August 2, 1990, the then regime troops invaded Kuwait. It began when huge military units crossed the Kuwaiti border, where it met the fierce Kuwaiti army, the resistance group, and an international force consisting of Arab, GCC, and Western allies. The brutal aggression was not limited to Kuwait military only, but it was also followed by the burning policy, which extended its destructive impact on the Kuwaiti land, sea, and air environment, after it resorted to bombing and burning oil wells and pumping oil into the sea. Kuwait's defense forces were rapidly overwhelmed, and within hours, Kuwait City was captured, and the invaders had then established a provincial government. By annexing Kuwait, the occupation forces gained control of 20% of the world's oil reserves, and for the first time, a substantial coastline on the Arabian Gulf. During the invasion, the late Emir Sheikh Jabir al-Ahmed al-Jabir al-Sabah established a government in the city of Taif in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which included the Crown Prince at the time, the late Father Amir, Sheikh Saad al-Abdullah Salim al-Sabah, and several ministers and leaders of the armed forces. The late Emir, Sheikh Jabir al-Ahmed al-Jabir al-Sabah, began to mobilize international support for the restoration of the state of Kuwait in all forums. While the Crown Prince at the time, the late Father Amir, Sheikh Saad al-Abdullah al-Sabah, worked on preserving the legitimacy of Kuwait, regulating the conditions of the government and ensuring a decent life for Kuwaitis abroad and at home, as he supported the Kuwaiti resistance groups inside Kuwait and diplomatic efforts of its missions abroad. Moreover, the Minister of Foreign Affairs at that time, the late Emir Sheikh Sabah al-Ahmed al-Jabir al-Sabah, worked on mobilizing Arab and international diplomats to promote Kuwait's just cause. From the first hours of the invasion, the Gulf Cooperation Council, the GCC countries, hastened to move on the premise that any attack on any member state is an attack on all countries of the Cooperation Council. On August 3rd, 1990, the GCC foreign ministers held an emergency meeting in Cairo, Egypt, on the sidelines of an Arab League Council meeting. The efforts of the GCC countries also succeeded in convening an emergency Arab summit in Cairo on August 10th, 1990. During the meetings, the GCC countries rejected the aggression in Kuwait and demanded for the invading forces' unconditional withdrawal from the country. Moreover, in the second week of January, GCC defense ministers met in Riyadh, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and after a comprehensive study of the political and military situation, the defense ministers agreed on the need to implement an offensive action to liberate Kuwait. During this period, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia played an important role by mobilizing its forces and making contacts with Arab and international powers to hold an emergency summit. The kingdom also welcomed Kuwaitis in its land, providing financial and military support for Kuwait throughout the occupation period. Moreover, the kingdom invited several countries to send troops, becoming the main base of the coalition that had about 800,000 troops from 30 countries. Thanks to the efforts by GCC countries and other allies, the United Nations Security Council issued vital resolutions, starting with Resolution 660 to withdraw from the state of Kuwait unconditionally. And the decisions continued until the issuance of Resolution 678, which authorized using military force to liberate the state of Kuwait.
In the midst of Kuwaiti's fight against a brutal Saddami occupation, we discover the story of martyr Sana al-Fodari. Her dedication to liberation shines through as she fearlessly led to demonstration, shielding others from the enemy bullets on the fatal day. August 2nd, when Kuwaitis faced invasions, Sana selflessly placed herself at the forefront of resistance. Despite the tragic end to her life, her spirit endured. Her last words were, "I'm done, Mom," she said, go behind the electric transformer and take cover. Sana is a symbol of Kuwait patriotism, wished for the safety and prosperity of her nation even in her final moments. On the day of the invasion, Sana was determined and passionate. She swore to the Almighty that enemy wouldn't stay in Kuwait, despite the harsh treatment at the Saddamese checkpoint. She struggled to control her emotions. Sana's intense feelings persist until her martyrdom. A sport enthusiast, she marooned Sheikh Fahd al-Ahmed, lost about found solace, understanding sacrifice were necessary for Kuwait's freedom. Her sister at Mubarak Hospital fueled her determination with updates on martyrs and injured connected with friends. Sana was unwavering in her duties to Kuwait on the invasion first day. She loudly proclaimed Allahu Akbar, showcasing her dedication to defending Kuwait's dignity. Sana's story reveals for remarkable resilience and patriotism, laying the groundwork for the sacrifice she'd later make for Kuwaiti's liberation. In the days after Saddam's invasion, Kuwaiti protested the occupation through marches, facing brutal checkpoints. Sana passionately joined the demonstration on August 8th during Women's March. In Jabriya, she led with determination, urging her family to participate despite the danger. Chants of loyalty and rejection of Saddam Hussein filled the air. As the crowd nearby the police station, Saddami forces opened fire. Chose announced, but Sana, undeterred, encouraged everyone to stand firm. When tear gas was fired, she instructed her family to safety but didn't reveal her injuries. In this moment, we recall Sana asked for her mother and sister to leave by saying, "I'm done, Mom. Go behind the electrical transformer." Concealing her wounds, carried to the car, she maintained concern for her family. Without them knowing, Sana struck multiple times, succumbed to her injuries. Her final act of courage left a legacy of patriotism and sacrifice. During the ongoing protest, the Iranian man Wahid Mohammed jumped out of the vehicle at the protest area, attempting to assist the martyr by carrying her. Suddenly, enemy gunfire was directed toward him, and he was immediately fell as a martyr. In those critical moments, at the same time, a wounded man named Hamad Taha, while trying to transfer the martyr to the ambulance, also got wounded. Despite the police's situation, he did not hesitate to offer assistance. The martyr Wahid were both transported to the ambulance occupying a protest, and Hamad Taha was taken in another vehicle. At the moment, the martyr Sana al-Fodari, may she rest in peace, was still alive but felt embarrassed about being carried. She requested a young man not to carry her and instead on being lowered from the ambulance. During these heartbreaking moments, the martyr clothes were full of blood due to the gunshot that hit her and her heart. The heart that pulses with love, Kuwaiti cause beaten with the body arrived at the hospital. In touching moments, the martyr departed before they could provide medical aid. In this way, the journey of martyr Sana Abdurrahman Hassan al-Fodari concealed she was placed herself in a service that nation with courage and sacrifice, fulfilling her truthful desire for martyrdom for the sake of Kuwait.